right, Robin. I have evidence that I am health conscientious.
Yes.
I have evidence that I make sure I ingest things that are healthy for me,
Yes.
like coffee.
You love coffee.
Coffee is something I grew to love, and probably I didn't really start to drink coffee until I was in my 30s, I guess, and now I'm 63, so it's been half of my life I've been drinking coffee. I can remember as a kid, though, watching the grown-ups drink coffee and say, why does that look so good?
Yeah.
It looks good. And then when you walk into like a coffee clutch or something, or at the church where somebody was brewing some coffee, you go, oh my gosh, that smells so good. But for some reason, you didn't want to drink it. You didn't really like it when you tried it.
Yeah.
And something changed for me. Not for you, really. You never really warmed up to coffee a whole lot.
No.
But I did. I just love coffee. And I am somewhat of a connoisseur. In other words, what I mean by that is I can determine or distinguish between the kinds I like and the kinds I don't like. And I don't know what it is. I can't tell you. I'm not that big on the flavors that are added to them.
Oh.
But certain pure coffee, just a certain bean or whatever. I know convenience stores are not known for their good coffee, but the one near you, oh my gosh, they used to, and now the guy who did it is gone. But
Yeah.
but the guy
He
who
went to another store.
who used to work there, you could go in there and get coffee, and he had several different types lined up, and you go, oh my gosh, this is good. And anyway, we have one right here. It's called
Yeah.
Purity, the coffee nature intended. I can't wait to try this. We were sent a couple of bags of beans. They're not ground up yet, right?
Great.
They're still in there? Okay.
Yeah, it's all sealed and
have to ground them up. Andrew Salisbury is on the phone. He's going to tell us about this. He's the founder and CEO of Purity Organic Coffee. He's an advocate for improving the world's health and longevity through coffee. He is my friend, Robert. Good morning, Andrew. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. See, I love it when somebody tells me that something I'm probably overdoing is actually good for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
They always tell you 1 cup, and then you realize that a cup is like 1/3 the size of the cup I actually use.
Yeah.
1 cup, come on, 1 cup.
Yep.
So where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Atlanta.
From Atlanta. How's it up there? It's cold, right?
It's good. It's snowing a little bit, which is, well, there was snow on the ground, so it's pretty nice. It's pretty.
Yeah, but wouldn't you like to be out on the balcony, looking at the snow, drinking your coffee?
That's next.
Do you live there, or are you in a hotel, or where? What are you doing?
No, I live there. I live here now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you got that southern Atlanta accent going on.
That's right. Really, really deep, isn't it?
So what is in the bag here? The Purity coffee bean bag. Is it just, what do you do differently than other coffee companies?
Yeah, well, so basically this business started around 3 years ago, and I learned that coffee was incredibly good for you, and so we started looking at every step of the production chain to see what we could do differently if we only cared about health. If our only driver was health benefits of coffee. And so, the main differences are, the starting point is coffee needs to be organic. It's the most heavily treated crop on the planet. Then it needs to be, we test our coffee for antioxidant levels. So we select our coffee based on the highest one in antioxidants, and then we roast it to maintain the antioxidants that are already in the coffee. So we don't roast away the antioxidants and keep those. And it has to be specially grade, the very highest quality coffee. And then the last thing, perhaps one of the most important, is it needs to be fresh, because most people are drinking coffee that's been roasted months ago, and you start losing a lot of the antioxidants then because of staling.
Oh, really? So is there anything on the bag that indicates when this was roasted?
Yeah, yes, on the bottom it should say the roast date, but typically it would have been shipped to you within about 2 days of roasting.
Oh, okay.
And then also all our bags are nitrogen flush, so until you open the bag, it doesn't start to stale.
Oh, okay. So there's nitrogen in the bag.
Yep. Yep.
Wow. Yeah, on the bottom it says, so this is good until November of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's pretty good. Once I open it, though, then the clock starts ticking.
Yeah, it takes you really should be looking at about 15 to 20 days drinking the bag within 15 to 20 days after opening the bag.
So you said that coffee is one of the most heavily processed, I think you said? in the world. What does that mean?
Heavily treated in terms of pesticides. So, couple of things. I mean, it's the only crops that are more heavily treated are tobacco and cotton. But coffee, obviously, you're drinking it, and it's also developed in countries where they don't have the same sort of rules in terms of pesticide use.
Yeah.
So, it's actually one of the probably the biggest leverage points you have if you choose organic food. I think organic coffee is a must.
And you have on here with a hint of milk chocolate toasted pecan and a whisper of orange blossom.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
That's
I love that.
All right, now,
It's such a refreshing flavored beverage.
I am looking forward to trying it, but I'm going to tell you the unfortunate truth about me is that if I have a healthy coffee compared to an unhealthy coffee, and the unhealthy one actually tastes better, I'm probably not going to switch. So what do you do in the roasting process? Is that where the flavor happens, in the roasting process?
Absolutely. And we're using a process. We really got lucky, to be honest. I mean, we made every decision based on health, but because we picked the very highest quality organic coffee and we roasted for antioxidants, the end result is probably one of the best tasting coffees you'll ever taste. Even though we didn't intentionally go for taste as our primary driver, you'll have to tell me how you think of the coffee. But
I will. I'm looking forward to it. So is it always sold unground? Like we have to grind it ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, again, we make every decision based on health, and when you grind coffee, what people don't realize is that it starts to oxidize the moment you grind the coffee. So the coffee can stay fresh for 15 to 20 days when it's whole bean, but when you grind it, it starts to oxidize within about 15 to 20 minutes. So the trick is you really need to have whole bean and then grind it, and so it's an extra level in there.
Can people drink this all the time? Because sometimes I hear that coffee drinkers say they have to stop drinking coffee a few hours before bedtime, otherwise they're going to be wide awake. Is this different?
Yeah. I mean, I think the couple of answers to that. The first one is some people are fast metabolizers and some people are slow metabolizers of caffeine. Like I can have a double espresso just before I go to sleep, and I sleep like a baby. And other people,
Me too.
Yeah. And so yeah.
You do.
Well, what I'm saying is when I'm driving, I used to drive a lot. I don't drive that much anymore. And you people say, okay, if you're getting sleepy, go get a cup of coffee. It really never woke me up. It was delicious, but it never woke me up. I was never the guy that was a little bit more wide awake because of coffee.
Yeah, you're a fast metabolizer of caffeine. And so that's one of the things that you have to take into account. If you're a slow metabolizer of caffeine, it can take 48 hours for the caffeine to go all the way through your body. And then the other thing that impacts a lot of people is that they don't recognize how much of the pesticides and the mold and the sort of negative compounds like acrylamide or PAHs in coffee that can actually have a negative effect in terms of sort of how well you can tolerate it. So it's those two things that play a factor.
You've done mortality rate studies on coffee drinkers.
Yep, we haven't done the studies ourselves. We've worked with the University of Brazil and the Institute of Coffee Studies in Vanderbilt, but yeah, we've done a lot of work with those studies to understand what they mean.
I did a mortality study on coffee. All funeral homes offer coffee. I don't know what that means, but they all do. Like when you don't really want to be where the dead person is, you just go into the kitchen, get a cup of coffee, everything's fine. Right? The world's fine. Can I ask a question that's sort of related, but not really? You obviously have a British accent.
Yep.
America came from England. How come you guys drink tea in England and we drink coffee over here? What happened? Is that because of the Tea Party?
Didn't you destroy all our tea, or isn't that what?
Is that what it is? I mean,
I think you sent it back, so we had to drink it.
Were coffee beans growing here in America? I thought they only grew like in Hawaii or something, or in South America.
That's true. It's all of the sort of the equator and those zones. Apart from Hawaii, that's the only other place. But climates are shifting, so maybe that will change.
So does Purity do you have your own coffee farm?
No, because what we do is we lab test every harvest. We lab test the top 40 organic coffees from around the world, and then we see which one is highest in antioxidants, and we pick the one that's highest in antioxidants, and then we roast it to maintain those.
Oh, really?
So So next year it could be, or we're actually testing right now. So the next harvest could be from a completely different location than Costa Rica and Nicaragua, which is where we get this coffee from.
How old should a person be to start drinking coffee? I know my cousins were like 15, and we always heard that, well, coffee stunts your growth. You have to wait till you're in your 20s. Is there any kind of age recommendation that you have?
Well, I can only say from personal experience. I mean, I have a 10-year-old daughter, and she was told to do ADHD medicine and that sort of thing. And we started first giving her a small bit of coffee in the morning with milk, because effectively I felt like it was a safer thing to do to give her a natural food source that's organic than it is to give her, ADHD medicine. So, I mean, I feel like all of this is, there's a lot of rumors around coffee that just aren't substantiated, aren't true. I mean, it's caffeine isn't necessarily good, but then, children take a lot of caffeine in chocolates and sodas and things like that. So I think it all depends on your personal choice.
And how is your daughter doing now with her ADHD?
Good. It really helps. I mean, it helps calm her, and like a lot of people, when they drink coffee has a calming effect for certain people, rather than a frantic effect.
Do you know what I always wonder? I always wonder if the drip coffee had come out first. Would the percolator have been considered an improvement?
Oh yeah, I love the percolator.
I love doesn't the percolator make coffee taste better to you? Instead of dripping coffee through a piece of paper, right? Do you agree?
I do, and I like French press myself, and it's a better way to get the taste and the flavor, and it's also a better way to get some of the health benefits of coffee, because there's certain compounds in coffee that you get caught in the filter. They're called diterpenes, and cafestol and chiwal they're called, but effectively they're actually very good for you, and having it in French press or a percolator is a better way to extract those and not lose the filter.
Yeah.
Part of the research was done about disease prevention, and it said that it was a 30% decreased risk of congestive heart failure.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty shocking when you start looking at the health benefits, in particular areas like liver disease, prevention of liver disease, fatty liver, and even more important, I think, is the prevention of type 2 diabetes. You have a 45% lower chance of developing type 2 diabetes if you regularly drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee a day.
And the study about Parkinson's was very interesting, because you would think that would be just the opposite, that caffeine would give somebody the shakes or the erratic movements, but it's making Parkinson's patients have a decreased risk.
Absolutely. That's the perfect example of that calming effect that some people have when they're drinking caffeine, and it sort of regulates their system. And Alzheimer's, same thing. It's been shown to have a pretty substantial impact.
It was something I quit for a little while, and then I went back to it. I don't know what I was blaming it on, but I was going through something. And I also quit cigars. Can you guys make some cigars?
I love cigars, so I'll work on that. That'll be my next project.
Oh my gosh, Purity Cigars, Robin.
Yeah. Oh, Larry's all ears now.
A cup of coffee and a cigar. I know nobody likes smoking anymore, but I used to love it. Do you still smoke? Do you smoke cigars?
I do. Maybe about one a week, so it's not a lot, but it's it's regular.
You also did a study with bicyclists, and that they are able to do more high-intensity exercise because of this organic.
Yeah, and it's. I think for a while a lot of people have recognized coffee for all of the performance-enhancing things, and I think what you're seeing is in high-intensity exercise and also fat loss. It increases metabolism, but I think what's becoming new is that people are starting to realize that it also has an impact on disease prevention, which I think is really important.
So my dad would drink coffee black. He didn't put anything in his coffee. I really only put creamer. I don't put sugar or any sweetener at all in it. What are your choice? How do you do coffee?
I think the very best way to do coffee for your health is black, and that's the way that I do coffee. But I think that there's so many health benefits when it comes to coffee. If you happen to be putting milk in your coffee, you should carry on doing it if it allows you to drink more. I would just avoid all of the, the sugary.
The sugars, yeah. It's not coffee anymore. Iced coffee is a little okay with sugar, a little bit of sugar, I guess. I don't know. Do you like iced coffee?
Yeah, I do. Cold brew coffee is really nice, and it's a great summer drink as well. So,
well, you talk about the preservatives, and some of the other coffees actually have acid in them.
I think coffee has a high acidity level, so it's not an acid per se, like it's not an additive. It's like an acidity level in coffee, but that can be balanced out. So what often people think of as acidity in coffee comes from the fact that they're taking pesticides, mold, ochratoxin A, because coffee isn't treated very well typically. So unless you get very good quality organic coffee, you often have some of those side effects of the fact that the coffee has developed ochratoxin A and molds and yeast. And
really?
Oh my gosh!
We did a litmus test once. We had a guest on one time, and the gist of the conversation was that alkalinity can cause or prevent cancer depending on which level of alkalinity your body is at. And so we went to the local pharmacy. We got some litmus paper, and we were trying everything. And water is really good when it comes to being alkaline, right? Mm-hmm. And almost every drink is considerably acidic. Soda, almost everything is. Gatorade, everything. But coffee really wasn't that acidic.
No.
It's not as much as the sodas and the orange juices. Everything we tried except for water, and coffee was on the low end of being acidic. It was very low. So
yeah.
Why did you gravitate toward the beverage of coffee instead of like green tea or something like that? What intrigued you the most about this?
It really all started because my wife was having some health issues about 3 years ago, and she was just having low energy and difficult to get out of bed, and so she was self-medicating like a lot of us do, but she was drinking, a lot of coffee, and it was probably to win an argument more than anything. I thought, as a tea drinker, I thought she was doing something bad for her diet, and I started looking into it, and I was really just blown away based on, the amount of studies that have been done on coffee and health, and not only that, just how good it was for you. So that was an argument I lost, but that's how I...
Oh, really?
Well, that's great because she's still here.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
right.
God.
All right, I'm going to ask you to do a science thing, if you don't mind. That's for the sake of me. I'll represent the layman because I don't know. When you say an antioxidant, I'm not really sure what that means or what that does. Explain antioxidant if you could. I hope that I don't sound too stupid with that question.
No, not at all. And it's so often a buzzword, but the antioxidants in coffee are a thing called chlorogenic acids, and it's called a polyphenol. And polyphenols are basically anti-inflammatories. So one of the problems that we deal with in our life is that stress and the things that we eat and sodas and red meat and that sort of thing all cause stress in our body and cause inflammation in our body. And antioxidants reduce the amount of inflammation in your body, and that's why you're seeing with coffee, since it's such a rich source of antioxidants and polyphenols, it helps reduce inflammation, and that's why it's able to help so many of these different things like heart disease or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or liver that seem to be not connected, is because it really has an umbrella effect in the sense it reduces inflammation in your body.
We are talking to Andrew Salisbury. I think I said your name with an American accent before.
It works.
Salisbury. Andrew Salisbury.
My daughter does as well, so that's fine.
And he is the founder and CEO of Purity Organic Coffee. And it sounds like it's very new. If 3 years ago was when your wife won the bet, so to speak. I mean, this is a very new product for you, isn't it?
It's very new. We spent over 2 years in research and development. We didn't really know what was going to happen as we looked at all the different processes, and we didn't know whether we would have a coffee that would be ridiculously expensive or if it would taste like ditch water. I mean, we really honestly didn't know, but we wanted to see if we could impact the health benefits. And so after 2 years of research and development, we've developed a fantastic process and an amazing coffee. But really, it's only been 1 year now of going out to nutritionalists and chiropractors and those sort of wellness professionals to deliver this message.
We're told that some doctors prescribe a glass of red wine a day because of the resveratrol in it. If people start having a cup of this coffee every day, that would probably take the place of the red wine.
Yeah, why choose?
Right, exactly. This would seem to be healthier.
You know what goes good with coffee? Nothing. I like coffee with nothing. Like people like coffee and donuts or coffee. To me, just forget it. Don't put anything else there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe a cigar. That might work.
Yeah, there you go. Man after my own heart.
Can I ask you a question about the bean itself? I picked up Robert at the airport, and to kill time, I went over to Starbucks, and they had chocolate-coated coffee beans. And I ate them, and they were pretty good. But the coffee bean that I just chewed up felt like I had coffee grinds in my mouth.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what the question is. Oh, the question is this. A lot of coffee shops have coffee grinds, like used coffee grounds, whatever you call them, available. You can buy them, or sometimes they give them away for free. And people use them in their gardens.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be good for your plants. Is that sort of a hint that it's good for you, too?
I mean, I've heard the same thing. I haven't really looked into that area. I prefer to drink my coffee, but it's but yeah. I mean, I really think that people are finding a lot of uses, like for example, as facial scrubs because of the antioxidants, the chlorogenic acids, and they're seeing, there's been a lot of uses for coffee as they start to realize just how good it is in terms of polyphenols and antioxidants.
And it's really good to know that the American Heart Association weighed in on this, that they're actually recommending this for a reduction in stroke and heart failure. I mean, I think the American Heart Association, they're very smart and they know what they're talking about, and you're on the cutting edge here.
Yeah, within the last year, I mean, the World Health Organization reversed their opinion that there was any negative effect in terms of cancers with coffee, and they said it has an inverse effect, means it has a positive effect in terms of reducing the risk of cancers. It's been now part of the U.S. dietary guidelines, 3 to 5 cups of coffee a day, and that's the first time that's ever been said. So basically, the professionals, health professionals in this area and scientists are recognizing that it's a very good product for your health.
Okay, you sent me 2 bags. I really want to keep one of them. So let me give one of them away, and it's a bag of coffee beans. It's Purity coffee. If you would like the bag, it's packed, it's sealed, it's got nitrogen in there so that these beans stay as fresh as possible. Mm-hmm. Call me if you want the one bag. I'm going to keep the other one, and we're going to grind it up. We have to buy a grinder.
Press.
What? Oh, yeah, we'll do a French press.
Yeah, we have to go get one of those.
But you got to grind them up first.
Oh, yeah,
right?
that's right.
Okay.
Can you recommend a good one, sir? A good grinder? Or?
A good grinder.
Yeah, Breville is pretty good. There's a few. It really depends on your sort of. I mean, they get a little crazy. I mean, you can have grinders that go up to $500, and others that are. You really want a Berg grinder. Berg grinder is the best because it makes sure that all of the coffee is ground to the same size.
Nice.
All right, let me give this one away. A lot of people are responding to my.
I see that. It's
offer.
solid.
All right. Good morning. You've got the coffee beans. Who's this?
Oh, this is Gary.
Hey, Gary, you got it. Do you know where we are?
Oh, yes.
Okay, it'll be waiting for you. You got a bag of coffee waiting for you.
Thanks, Gary.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Gosh, a little bit bad phone line there. Well, thank you for sharing this with us. I'm looking forward to trying it myself. The website is, what is it, puritycoffee.com. I did go to the website earlier.
Yeah. And we've got something special for your listeners if you're interested to give them 50% off if they want to try our coffee and at a very low risk.
Okay, what do they just mention us, WLCA?
They can do that, either call in or they just go to puritycoffee.com and then put in the code Florida50.
Florida 50. Okay.
And is it 50 or 50 spelled out FIFTY?
50.
Florida,
Okay.
Florida 50. All right. Well, stay warm up there. Go get a cup of coffee and look out the balcony. You know, your publicist is a lady who is an amazing lady. We love Donna, and we met her in New York City, and I believe we had a cup of coffee with her.
Yes, we did.
Just thought I'd wrap it up with that. Andrew, thank you for being on the end. That was a very fun interview.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right, we will take a little break. We will be right back.